I remember once being told I needed to change the color of my braids. My mother was furious, of course. When people approach it with a curiosity or a positive curiosity, there's actually so much they can learn and so much they can actually embrace to understand that our hair isn't actually a threat. It's something that's beautiful and that should be celebrated, just as straight hair, wavy hair is as well. Can be harmful because we, especially for a young girl or even a young boy growing up, you then feel that this part of your identity needs to be tamed, or it needs to be, put away so that people don't talk. It's also exhausting, Story for another day. Hi, my name is Miriam, and a bit of background about me. I work in tech sales, but in my previous life, I used to be a spinal cord injuries nurse. I love to write poetry. I love that. And I also have a passion for baking. So all of my friends are always coming over to the house and getting some cookies or brownies. So yeah, that's a bit about me. Yeah, that's a deep question. And I guess for me, it was around secondary school, because my hair became something that other people felt they could dictate. And when I say other people, mainly teachers, principals, it was a case where, oh, your hair needs to be neat or can't be this certain type of color. So kind of put you in a box a little bit. But I got used to it. I never questioned it because I was a bit of a rule follower. So yeah, it was probably in secondary school. Yeah, and I think that ties in really well with the first question. Again, it would have been teachers, because for a bit of context, I went to a Catholic all-girls school in Galway. Amazing school, but whenever we'd come in, I'd remember the teachers would always pull myself or my other friend aside and say, hey, your hair has a little bit of blonde in it. That's not really a natural color. And when you reflect back on it, you think, oh, okay, lots of people have blonde hair, so why can't I have blonde hair? Or I'd have braids that were long, but to them it was different, so it was deemed maybe a bit unruly, or not the norm. So we had to change. I remember once being told I needed to change the color of my braids. My mother was furious, of course, because it costs a lot to get the hair braided, but we had to change it. And after that, subconsciously, I always got my hair braided in the color black. I never really experimented again after that, even though beforehand I loved just having a bit of color. Could be a bit of purple, a bit of red or blonde, like I said. So yeah. School really shaped it for me. Because it's powerful. There's a lot of power in our hair because when someone walks into a room with what seems to be different, there's a type of, I suppose, power it commands or authority that it commands. So you could walk in, and when my afro is out, I feel different. I feel a sense of pride because it's big, it takes up space. So I can't help but walk in that confidence. So yeah, I think it can be a little bit of a threat to people, but when people approach it with a curiosity or a positive curiosity, there's actually so much they can learn and so much they can actually embrace to understand that our hair isn't actually a threat. It's something that's beautiful and that should be celebrated, just as straight hair, wavy hair is as well. So, yeah.
Fabulous.
Professional. It means it needs to be, in my opinion, it means it needs to be straight, it needs to be tied back, or I suppose, I don't know if this is controversial, but the clean girl aesthetic, even though we've been doing that for years, having the hair nicely greased and slicked back is a norm just to make it look neat. But if it's anything other than the standard straight hair look, people think that it's unprofessional. It's quite a painful thing actually to hear because it's part of your identity. So are people now saying that the way you naturally look is unprofessional? It kind of can be harmful because we, especially for a young girl or even a young boy growing up, you then feel that this part of your identity needs to be tamed or it needs to be, you know, put away so that people don't talk. It's also exhausting, you know. Story for another day. I think social media has a lot to play into that as well. And that taps into our confidence. What we're seeing every day or what's being fed to us through social media is, oh, you know, have the straight hair, have the hair tamed. There's all these different sprays to make sure it's tame and in one place. So again, that is something that eats away at our confidence. Yeah, so I'll give you two sides of a story because I had a bit of a career change. So initially I mentioned I was a nurse and it was a lovely profession, but it's quite a traditional profession in a sense. So historically, you as a nurse, your uniform has to be perfect, no stains. Your shoes have to be sparkling clean and your hair also needs to be neat or in place. So what did that look like? I remember walking into the ward and I'd have a different hairstyle and just everyone would say, oh my gosh, your hair is different. All of a sudden it's longer or, oh, it's a different color. Like, did that take you so long? And sometimes I'm like, oh, I love the questions, but other times I ask myself, where is this question coming from? Would you ask my counterpart that as well? And so sometimes I would then shy away and try to not make my hair cause too much of a ruckus by really tying it back or wearing a scrub cap so no one can actually say anything because it's covered. And then fast forward to me moving into a tech space that's, you know, it's an American company. There's a huge culture for diversity, inclusion, and belonging. So there's just loads of different people. People that looked like me, people that didn't look like me, people that embraced their afro, people that had mohawks, they had braids, and they shaved their hair completely. And I just thought, wow, this is beautiful. Like, this is really cool to see, to work in a place that actually embraces that and you don't feel weird, you don't feel different or othered. Instead, you can openly have conversation, and that's for Black History Month, that's something that's celebrated. And as we're in Europe, that's usually in October. So we have the opportunity to, you know, share a little bit about that or have little coffee chats where our friends and colleagues can come and ask us questions or we ask them questions. What's your experience been like? So yeah, I've had two experiences that are both very different that have both shaped me. I suppose my courage and my freedom, because poetry is something that's liberating for me. It's a place I feel I can escape and just be myself and actually share what's on my mind, completely unfiltered. Poetry also allows people to give their own interpretation to things because the way you receive something might be different to how someone else receives the exact same words. And I kind of love that because you can tell me your perspective. So yeah, it would be freedom and the courage to actually just speak on what matters to you most without feeling filtered. So yeah, an unfiltered space. A bit of both, I think. Yeah, and it's a meaty one because like I said before, with social media, we're seeing so many more people with afros and different types of hairstyles, and there's a lot of noise around it. So everyone wants to jump on the train. There's different hair brands that are now also trying to cater more to type 4 hair, and yeah, there's a lot of noise around that, which is really good. It's positive, but I also think there can be moments where there's a subtle softening of what once was. An example of that is when I go back to my hometown. Like, it's not a very tiny town, But I do sometimes feel that shift of, oh, can I walk out with my hair in an afro? Whereas when I'm in Dublin, I'm like, yeah, I can, because there's loads of other people. There's a little bit more exposure. So yeah, a bit of both. Gosh, that's a big one. An invisible label that comes is being prepared to potentially have to answer questions, being prepared to be stared at, and pretending you don't see them. But then also sitting and basking in again the power that your hair does have, and how some people do embrace it and will actually go a step further to say, oh my gosh, I love your hair, without saying, oh, can I touch it? Because two very different things. If it were truly free, I'd say we'd be in a society where people didn't have to say, oh, don't touch my hair. So, yeah, I'd say I'd leave it at that.